I would ask you this morning whether indeed somebody somewhere is enjoying the kind of message that goes into the country. When the deputy president speaks in front of people and says, well, this is a shareholding government. If you did not support us, you don't expect anything.
There you
in
go.
fact, we should give it to our people first, then whatever is left, it will come for you. Do you think that today will be the day that probably the president is going to even tell his DP, I know what you've been saying about a share government and people supporting us not getting so much? Since we're talking about reconciliation, that kind of talk maybe now, from today henceforth, should cease.
Well, a clear manifestation of lack of understanding of our constitution or the rule of law. When these guys sought to serve in those offices, they swore by the law and they promised to abide by the constitution and uphold and defend it. To a point that they were given instruments of power to defend the rule of law or the constitution. So when you hear people utter non-constitutional utterances, then definitely it showcases to Kenyans the type or the caliber of individuals who, if I call them folks or a wolf, no, if they were dressed as a sheep earlier. The coat is off.
It's completely.
Now they're manifesting their true colors. And actually, these are these are the guys we are having in the offices. The guys who seems not to understand the offices that they are holding. Because the presidency is an executive office whose functions are clearly stipulated within the Constitution of Kenya. And they should know that the ultimate authority or sovereign authority belongs to the people. Where I come from, there's this guy, we've named him Ojejo Road, but he comes from my area. It's called Ojejo Teko. During those days of colonial era, Ojejo Teko, when the governor, the colonialists, had introduced the law of soil erosion, and soil erosion was used to confiscate people's cows. So to prevent soil erosion, people were required to have around 2 or 3 cows in a homestead. Yet, you know, our people were pastoralists, so they had hundreds and thousands of cows. And this is all the white man was using to get cows from the locals. So Ojejo Teko was one of those guys who confronted the governor and told the governor, you know what? He says in the law, the cows of Kanjira are not living. And the governor asked him, and whose authority? And Ojejo Teko was like, it's a famous one. Actually, it's more beautiful in the law. They said, Penyo Wacho. Penyo Wacho simply means that people have said. The people have said.
Oh, the people have said.
Right. And it's a precedent even in our constitution that the power belongs to the people. And when the governor had this guy invoking the power of the people, actually he was learned and understood the constitution. And guess what he did? He left the cows. And that's how Ojejo became famous. That's why we have Ojejo.
That's why we have Ojejo.
Exactly. Because they are individuals who understood the power of the people. And these were genuine liberators who fought against the colonial power. And they used the knowledge of the power of the people, because even the heaven says that the power of the people or the voice of the people is the voice of God. Even Moses, when the people said that we want a king of ourselves, God had to allow it. It's not that it was the best option. So sometimes understanding the power of the people actually is something that a leader should not be taught to understand. And abusing it actually is tantamount to abusing your own office. Because the sovereignty belongs to the people. We delegate, if anything, we can exercise it directly or indirectly. The power they're enjoying is an indirect power. If we choose to exercise our powers directly, then it ceases to have any power. So such utterances like is a shareholding or is the company or business, that capitalistic thinking. This abuse and abuse completely the foundation of our socialist way of life, the communist way of life, where we know that there's power in numbers. We know that together we can. We know that Arambe, you see, yes, Arambe is a spirit of Kenya, where we collectively push together and make the future that we want. So if we have somebody who is affronting that right at the helm of the executive government, then definitely it is lucky JFP was focusing on other matters. But we will definitely pick this. And if we pick it up, I assure you, we may meet in the court of law and let them answer to abuse of office, because such utterances are not really necessary.
But the question is, do you think today, do you think the president is going to stand up and say, probably my DP has been going around saying, well, this is a shareholding government, so maybe from today.
I don't think he has the guts to do that.
He has a platform though today.
Well,
if he's going to use an excuse, he has a platform today.
These guys don't look at the next generation. They just look at the next election. So he's looking at upsetting this guy. How many votes am I upsetting? You know, stuff like that. That's how they're looking at these things. So at the end of the day, it's not about us. It's about election. And this is the things that actually we've been calling voters to be cognizant of. We have to start thinking about the next generation. We have to talk about the vision that can take us, to be competitive, not just be equal globally, but I tell you, this geographical location is a phenomenal historical geographical location with serious historical advantages. We talk about the Qumran Valley. The oldest species of human being were realized here by Richard Leakey. And then the oldest then civilization is from this geographical location. And when you talk about the inventions that Africa exported to the world, they came from this geographical location. There's a lot that if we were to pursue proper history of our understanding, leave alone the latest technological exports like M-Pesa that we are exporting to the world, or the resilience and the superiority of our athletes, the vigor of look at our food, our rugby team. You look at the creativity and the innovation of this geographical location. Actually, we are being held back by bad leadership, or leadership that is not matching up. So if we were to look at who we truly are and redefine ourselves as Kenyans, then there are certain things that we cannot condone. So I believe we deserve leadership that reverberate at the interests of the citizen. We deserve a leadership that understands us. And I keep reminding us that the election is a process. If we make a mistake, we can correct them. When you end up with leaders who, instead of looking at your strength and bringing out your strength and enabling you and adding value and increasing you, instead of developing you, they take away, I think that is not a good leader, or that is not your leader. But your leader is somebody who adds value to you, who increases you, who develops you, who brings progress. And I think that is what Kenya deserves.
Pretty much. But I want to ask you this as well, Dr. Juma, from where you're seated. I mean, every other president who's come in every other election cycle that we've gone on in this country, the biggest question has been bringing Kenya together, putting Kenya together. How do we pull the country together? Do you think now that Dr. Ruto is sitting in that office that the country is a bit together more than ever? And if not so, or whatever answer you're going to take, what is his biggest task? What do you think is going to start from in terms of reconciling the country?
You see, what can hold us together, and has held us together, is what we call we the people. We the people cognizant, we the people recognizes, we the people bestow upon ourselves the Constitution of Kenya. And that Constitution has spelled out various institutions whose mandates are also spelled out. We are not operating in a vacuum. Every office in this country, as it stands today, needs to function according to the constitutional provision. Now, I was with the registrar of political parties, then I looked at their vision and their mission. Their vision is to have a democratic environment where political exercise is driven by issues, not populism, not personalism. And I do agree that, because they say the populism and the personalism are not healthy to economic growth. Why? Because good democracy is a democracy that support or enhance institutions, where institutions functions. In an environment where institution functions, always economy thrives. There is economic growth. That's why they say good democracy is good economy. Bad democracy, bad economy. Moi would just say that siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya in Swahili. But for us to have institutions that are functional, we need persons, we need to do away with populism and personism. Because populism and personism are the extreme opposite of functional institution. Why? Because a populist will require sycophants to surround them. Sycophants have no knowledge of the law, so they don't even care about them. Their deity is that entity that they have created. And that you've had, if you've read the Constitution, we've also read, you read for us, stuff like that. So this populistic or personistic characters in the political discourse, they are the ones who are detrimental to our institution. They are the ones who make sure that there is no accountability. Because the moment the institutions are not functioning, then definitely there are no accountable framework. This morning, I'm looking at Standard, and I am seeing that Kohome's promotion is unlawful according to the employer. Why? Because he acted unilaterally instead of understanding the framework of his office. If it is a collegiate office that require consultation with the other arm, then you need to abide by that. You saw the things that was happening even with the IEBC. I know we've chased the Cherera 4, and if you were to go back to the High Court ruling regarding how IEBC needed to have acted, or the chairman of IEBC needed to have acted, he was not supposed to act unilaterally according to Supreme Court, the Maina Kiai case. He was supposed to act collegiately. But this time, that's what he did again, acting unilaterally. In other words, right now we are also having a parliament. I know we may be discussing that. We're having a parliament which is serving at the whims of the executive, whereas the constitution is so clear, because with this constitution, 2010 constitution, we do not need opposition leader. The opposition leader or the opposition for the executive is the parliament. It's parliament that should do oversight. It's a parliament that should make policies that are citizen-centered. It's parliament that should advocate and lobby on behalf of the citizen. But if parliament goes in bed with the executive, then who will oversight the executive? And at the same time now they come back and tell you that, now we need opposition after they've neutralized and they've destroyed the parliament. In other words, institutions are not functioning. These are the challenges we are facing. If Kenya can get to a level where institution functions, then our economy will grow. But with non-functional institutions, one symptom that you must look for is impunity, anarchy, and where impunity and anarchy is, corruption thrives. And with corruption, forget about economic development. So that already, if you're working backwards, can tell you that you may have another 5 years that you're going to waste. And we can't afford to do that. That's why we're out here to make sure that Kenyans are vigilant.
Pretty much.
Right.